Todd writes, Role 4, Scene 12, Take 8, Action. Hey, it's Jay. So I know it's been a couple weeks since I've uploaded a video, but I've been kind of busy. I've had a friend visiting from out of state, and I've been doing stuff with her, and so I haven't really had a chance to film any new videos. So for today's video, I'm going to do my first video on recent reads. Now what recent reads videos are is every 4 to 7 books I read, I will do a quick video on like a brief summary and then what I think of it, what I thought strengths and weaknesses of the writing was, stuff like that. And I don't know how often I'll be able to do these because I'm about to move to college and there are a lot of books I'm in the middle of, and so I don't know which ones I'll be able to hit. Plus I'm starting college, so. This first one is The Princess Saves Herself, and this one by Amanda Lovelace. This is a book of poetry, and I actually read it in like 20 minutes, because they're short poems like this. I've recently gotten into modern poets, such as like Amanda Lovelace, Please Find This, which is pseudonym for an author. I can't remember his actual name, but he wrote I Wrote This For You. Now for this, the title, like I had seen pictures of different poems on Tumblr and I was like, oh, I like that poem, I need to check out that book, and I just kept putting it off for various reasons. I'm not exactly sure why, but I finally got it and I liked it a lot. There were about 7 poems that really hit me. What I really like about this is that it's very feminist, and it also talks a little bit about LGBTQ plus mental illness, abuse, stuff like that. Like before the poems, there's even a trigger warning. This book contains sensitive material relating to child abuse, intimate partner abuse, bullying, sexual assault, self-harm, and then lists like several others. And it talks about it goes on this journey from being a princess to a damsel to a queen, and I really like that kind of fairy tale aspect to the progression of the story. And then there's a section called You, and it talks about like writing a little bit, and then just other general stuff like being confident. And I really love it, so I recommend it. The next book is None of the Above by I.W. Gregorio. I got this in Pride Month and I read it, and the reason I got it was because it includes an intersex protagonist. This is about this girl named Kristen who is voted homecoming queen, and her boyfriend and her try and do for the first time, and something's wrong, and so she goes to the doctor and she discovers she's intersex, which means that she has both male and female parts. And so it's kind of what this is about is Kristen's journey on accepting her sex, and how her friends and boyfriend treat her, and how her family treats her. And I read it in 2 days. I loved it so much. I would definitely recommend it because it really opened my mind, and it was really funny, but also made me cry. It made me anxious, and so if you manage to do that to me all in one book, then it's a really great book. So definitely recommend it. It was the first book I had read with the intersex protagonist, and so it kind of has a special place in my heart. And I love it so much. Okay, the third book is actually a middle grade novel, but okay, so it's Dragon Watch, a Fablehaven adventure by Brandon Mull. When I was in elementary and middle school, I had read Fablehaven, which is about this brother and sister named Kendra and Seth, who go to visit their grandparents, and they eventually discover that their grandparents are caretakers of a preserve for magical creatures. And that series has a special place in my heart, and so when I found out that Brandon Mull was going to do another 5-book series called Dragon Watch, which has Kendra and Seth included shortly after the 5th book of Fablehaven ended, I was like, I don't care if I am a young adult, I am getting that book, and I am reading it, and I am going to fall in love with it because I love them. And it lived up to my expectations. This is incorrect, but there's one of my OTPs in there. I can't say who in case I'll decide to read it, but it's amazing. And I can't wait until the second Dragon Watch book comes out. Because even though it's middle grade, like, Brandon Mull is still one of my favorite authors, along with Rick Gordon. And Lemony Snicket, J.K. Rowling, those writers that are geared toward younger readers. But, yeah. The 4th book is Cat's Eye by Margaret Atwood. Now, this was the second book by Margaret Atwood I had read. The first one was Oryx and Crake, 2 summers ago. I really like Atwood's style because she has like different sections, not necessarily chapters, I guess parts, and then there's like 3 to 8 chapters per part, and it really, like, each chapter is like an average of 5 pages, and so it helps with pacing and stuff. And she also really likes to play around with time. Like, she'll have present day, and then she'll have a flashback or a flash forward, and I just love her style. Now, what this is about this girl named Elaine. She's returning to her hometown of Toronto, Canada, for an art gala, basically. I can't remember the word Atwood used, but it's basically an art gala. And she's basically going through flashbacks of her childhood with her friends who were actually quite abusive, verbally and emotionally, and a little bit physically. And she's kind of just accepting who she is as a person and her past and how it's affected her as an adult. And I had to read this for class, but I probably eventually would have picked it up myself because I love her style, I love her storytelling, and I just love Atwood as a person. There were a few parts where I was kind of like, that's really intense, but after starting Handmaid's Tale, this is nothing. Would I recommend it? Because it's Atwood, yes, I would. But if you don't like, if your style isn't adult books that flash back a lot and play around with time, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you love manipulation of time and short chapters that I do. The 5th and final book of this recent reads video is If You're Reading This by Trent Reedy. Now, what got me about this was not the cover, because obviously he's a football player and I couldn't care less about football. But if you're reading this, like, that the title sounded really interesting to me, and so when I was in Barnes & Noble, I grabbed it and I read the back. And basically what this is about is this kid named Mike who's a sophomore in high school. He starts getting these random letters where there's no address, no return address, but it turns out that they are from his dad. But that's impossible because his dad died several years ago from war in Afghanistan. I believe it was, war in Afghanistan. And the first letter is, if you're reading this, I'm very sorry, but I was killed in the war in Afghanistan. And Mike gets several letters, he eventually gets a few videos, and he tries to discover who's sending him the letters. And his dad in each letter he gives some different missions to like go to a party, take a chance with the girl, follow your dream, stuff like that. And with that, like, I really liked that, and like there was a lot of good advice in there that I think is appropriate for no matter like what your age is. The advice could be taken and it would work for you. This made me cry and laugh, and this is another one I read in 2 days. Yeah. Now, what I like about this is the plot. The writing was fairly good. There weren't really any parts that I was kind of bored at, except for the football parts. There were several scenes where it talked about football practice and football games and discussing football, and I understand that that's a part and an important part to the plot and like character relationships and character development, but as someone who doesn't really like sports, that was kind of boring thing, but I'm forgiving the author for that because it's necessary for the book. I would recommend this because like it's a great single YA novel. I loved the message behind it. So that's all for this video. I'm not sure when the next recent reads video will be, as I'm again about to start college, and so I'm gonna have a lot of adjusting to do, and I also have limited space in my dorm room and limited time to read. I am bringing one big book of 5 novels with me, and so depending on how much spare time I have, I might be able to get through that in a few weeks. I'm planning on uploading a writing game in a little bit, in a few days, but again, I'm finishing packing so I can move in a few days, so not sure when that'll happen. If you have any questions, you can send me an ask in my Tumblr. The link is down in the description. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.